Let it be known, I just want to say, I think License to Kill is, for what it's worth, pretty awesome. I was very pleasantly surprised viewing this one again. It's one of the better Bond films. Actually, it's probably the best one since it came out. I did Casino Royale 2006, but maybe this one's even better. Very brutal, very bloody, although I kind of like the idea of Bond kind of breaking and he's under duress here. He's against the most ruthless villain he's really ever gone up against. I don't know if anyone can compare to Robert Davi's Franz Sanchez unless they've attempted to top it since the release of this film. I think why a lot of individuals, fans of the series, really like Dalton's Bond is there was an attempt to replicate the character conjured by Ian Fleming in the novels, and for the two films to be closer to the novels in question. Although License to Kill does come across as the Bond film which most resembled, rather than something traditionalist in the, like For Your Eyes Only certainly was, and then Octopussy, View to a Kill, they were very tame compared to, kind of dated, felt kind of stiff compared to action films around it. Not to, it didn't help that old skeleton Roger Moore was in the role still then, but even Dalton's The Living Daylights felt like a throwback rather than a sincere modern action film. License to Kill is closer to something you would see starring Bruce Willis or Sylvester Stallone or whomever you want to name. And I think it's a perfect blend of these two worlds, actually. I was very stunned by how seamless I felt it all was. It was very Bond, and yet it was very late 1980s, kind of gritty, ugly, explosive, bloody realism. Brutal. This may stand today as a Bond film, which is, it's not too wallowing in all of the cliches and iconography. It's a film that tries to be enjoyable in its own right, and it's the fact that its base, its gravity as James Bond, is what fundamentally makes it more entertaining than a fundamentally just generic action film. It's really interesting. Actually, I find that, I remember a friend of mine once commented that the production values on The Living Daylights and License to Kill seem very low considering what James Bond could have potentially been capable of given the resources and what have you. Although I suspect they were going for a really back to basics approach. They wanted the action and the espionage to speak for itself and not be uber set piece oriented, though there is more extensive and thrilling stunt work toward the end of the film with trucks and whatnot, planes. It's very, very impressive actually. What we have for the most part of the film is a lot of sneaking around and kind of framing Bond amongst interiors and him investigating, and there's not a lot of high octane action except toward the end when things really start ramping up. Although there are skirmishes and spurts here and there, I guess. An extremely entertaining, if not thoroughly grisly picture. License to Kill is, I think, going to stand as one of the best James Bond films ever made, honestly. Certainly the best released during the 1980s. That's just obvious.